Hi, I'm Philip Harris, Design Director on Earth vs. Mars.
My name's Barry McDougall. I am a principal artist here at Relic Entertainment, and I am the art director of Earth vs. Mars.
My name is Christina Soltvetvik. On Earth vs. Mars, I am a senior designer focused on missions.
I'm Matt McLean, and I'm a senior game designer here at Relic.
Hi, I'm Shara Kashani. I'm a senior artist and the concept artist on Earth vs. Mars.
On Earth vs. Mars, I worked on the campaign and the core gameplay, so units, missions, abilities, things like that.
Earth vs. Mars is different from other projects at the studio, as it's a very small scale production using Unreal Engine.
When you have a very small team, everyone gets to work on a lot of different things. I worked on everything from story and writing, unit and commander abilities, some of the UI, even a bit of the audio implementation. Balancing all of that is tricky, but it's also a lot of fun. Relic Labs is really a place for us to experiment.
It allows us to break out, maybe establish a bit of a new audience, and also play with new mechanics we might not be familiar with. So really expanding the boundaries for our dev team.
Go in with a much smaller team and focus on strategy genres outside of real-time strategy.
It gives us a chance to focus more on the story and the characters.
And try new gameplay that we might not get a chance to try in our more storied franchises.
As a studio, we have endless ideas. Every day someone has a cool suggestion for a new game or a new mechanic or some way to make our games even more fun. Relic Labs gives us a way to take some of those ideas and turn them into something that people can actually play. Earth vs. Mars is set in an alternate version of Earth where astronauts have landed on Mars and inadvertently triggered an intergalactic war with the Martian Emperor Zarb.
We begin on Mars with flagrant human aggression as they come and they land a flag on the Martian soil.
At the beginning of the game, the Martians already have a pretty good grip on the planet, and Earth's military force, the Global Military Alliance, are struggling to deal with the invasion.
How can Earth stand up to that? What tools do we have? And we don't know how many Martians are landing on Earth. What are they doing? Where are they taking our people? Can we fight back against that?
Probably one of the more unique aspects of the story is we're introduced very early on to a character known as Annabelle Corman, and she's been working in the deserts of Nevada on this very unique contraption that allows her to kind of splice together the DNA of different creatures and make these sort of hybrid super soldiers. So I think that aspect of the story really puts it in the player's hands, and they're able to build their own things based on what is happening around them, which I think is pretty exciting.
We've got some like old style B-movie flair, but also bringing it in more contemporary, bringing in the mad scientists, mixing and matching, DNA splicing essence of various creatures.
Our protagonists are fighting against the extinction of the species. Some people believed in UFOs, some people didn't, but now we're all reckoning with this unstoppable force that has arrived on Earth and wants to destroy us.
Overall, there's a big mashup, and the team had a lot of fun developing the entire story and visual design of the game.
Earth vs. Mars really began with the idea of merging the classic Relic game Impossible Creatures with turn-based games like Advance Wars. And when you're talking about splicing creatures and mad science experiments, you think of B-movies.
Earth vs. Mars is really a love letter to sci-fi tropes from the mid-20th century. So, B-movies, creature features, alien invasions, terrors from beyond the stars. What happens if you put a cow head on top of a human, and how are they going to react?
Getting to explore old sci-fi films and B-movies like The Fly and War of the Worlds, and getting to implement that in a fun way that you could then interact in those types of worlds was really exciting.
That story delivery with the setting made something that could be, relatable, but also just out of this world.
I grew up watching films about killer ants and alien monsters, so it was an obvious fit to take that and merge that those two things together. And everyone loves a good Martian invasion.
If I had to give a shout out here, I think one of my favorite B movies is The Day of the Triffids. It's about humanity overreaching and being greedy and not being able to control the consequences of their actions. And it's a story of human experience and can we work together to survive.
Night of the Living Dead, so Romero's classic, which is kind of the grandfather of zombie movies, which I think there's a little sprinkle of that type of action in Earth vs. Mars as well.
There are so many great ones. The Blob, Them. I rewatched Piranha recently, and that was great fun. But I really have a soft spot for The Fly. Vincent Price in the 1958 film is great, and it's one of the rare films that has a remake that's also good. The David Cronenberg Fly is fantastic, and one of the characters in Earth vs. Mars was heavily influenced by Brundle Fly.
When we're designing our missions for Earth vs. Mars, we approach things a little bit differently than we typically do in an RTS game.
The Earth vs. Mars campaign has over 30 missions. We have expansive arcs of character stories and developments in the invasion of Earth and incredible technologies.
The player has a small contained puzzle that they are focused on. Being that it's also not real time, they sort of have the agency to consider their approach a lot. That's quite different from the urgency that you feel in a typical RTS match.
Our missions in Earth vs. Mars evolve as the combat evolves. You build terrifying and new spliced creatures, unique abilities to your units.
Given the fact that the player does have that much agency in terms of making their own soldiers and bringing those soldiers with their own special abilities into the missions, I think it's going to be really fun to see how players tackle these different puzzles and what type of splice soldiers do well.
The campaign is always throwing new things at you, whether it's new abilities or new enemy units or twists in the story. There's a lot going on.